Well, color me impressed. More and more, Cyberverse, even though the series is over, has been surprising me, and perhaps no Cyberverse offering has surprised me in a positive way as much as this guy. It is the Ultra Class Thunderhowl, and he's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. And hit that notification bell, please, because it helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, and Ellen, the Autobot Family, and Transformers versus G.I. Joe versus DC Universe versus Marvel. All those links in the description. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can always check us out on Patreon. You can see what we offer to you through Teespring. Or, of course, you can just hit the join button and become a channel member right here on YouTube. And this is the new Cyberverse Thunderhowl. This is the Ultra Class version, not the Deluxe. And to my surprise, this is the version actually I think I wanted more. I have heard that the Deluxe has so much armor molded on that it's going to have hindered articulation. And that actually the Ultra Class is going to be the one with better articulation? I don't know. We're going to see as time goes on, of course, if that's true or not. But in hearing that, I said, you know what? I think this is the one I want. Plus, this is the one that looks more like the on-screen iteration of the character, even if the colors are kind of off. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I had high hopes for this guy. Were they founded or were they dashed? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And so here we have the Ultra Class Thunderhowl, and honestly, this is the version that I preferred to try and obtain for this character rather than the Deluxe, because I've heard that with all of the armor pieces and stuff on the Deluxe, kind of as cool as he looks, apparently it really affects his articulation. And I heard that the Ultra Class one was better articulated. As a matter of fact, and I said it earlier, I think he might be one of the best articulated in all of the Cyberverse line, period, hands down. But before we look at the character himself and everything that he comes with, which is actually surprisingly a lot, we'll just take a quick look at the box, I guess we'll call it box, card back that he comes in first. And of course, we know that he has his Energon armor, and I would like to point out that his Energon armor is molded in such a way that it's supposed to look like his armor. So I think that's cool. As well, you can see up here we have his animation model. This is closer to his animation model than the Deluxe class is apparently going to be. As of this recording, that's not out here yet, but I think I'm going to be pretty happy with this guy. On the back, of course, yeah, we have the alt mode, the robot mode, and yeah, we have a bio that says he's a Knight of the Primes, so I think he's supposed to be ancient. And for all intents and purposes, this is the way the guy comes in the package, with all of these bits and pieces that are actually separate parts. I'm going to go through each of them, see how they go on him, and then we'll do the conversion, of course, from there. And the very first piece to note is this Scabbard, which doubles as his tail. It connects on to be his tail right here. But to be the Scabbard, there's 5mm pegs on both sides here, and on the other side, it just pegs in. And I do have the sword up in here now. You'll notice that we have this rectangular piece down here on the sword. Well, there's one on both sides of the sword. I'm just going to take the sword out of it, and it goes into a hole up right there. So this is the tail, this is his Scabbard. And it actually works for storage of the sword, which I think is really cool. Speaking of the sword, this beautiful blue translucent sword comes in packaged like this with the top of the wolf head attached to it. If you turn it over, you can see that the wolf head has a rectangular tab on it that goes into a slot on the sword. It can go in on either side, but I don't know, wolf sword? Cool, I guess? And here's his cloak. I think it's supposed to be gray, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know why they've done it in red, but I'm okay with it. The red looks cool, it pops. It really attaches over his shoulders via these two pegs. Now, those pegs are not big. This is solid, like plastic, I guess. It's not very pliable. I've heard that there's a risk that you could break those little tabs off. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't noticed any problems with mine, but it is something you might want to watch out for. And here we come to our boy, Thunderhowl. And this is basically the way he is in packaging. Now, the only thing that's different here is I have this like lower jaw section, because this is the bottom of the wolf head. I have that section pushed up for a reason. His battle armor, of course, is in his back, and the button for it is down here in his tummy, and it's very touchy. It is so super easy to have that pop out. That's why I fold this up, because if I just leave it folded down, the slightest touch, won't do it now, I bet, will cause that to come out. This can only be deployed when his cape is off. So, I mean, you need his cape off for it. The Scabbard, for example, it can go, and I'll just get his arm out of the way here. Here on the leg, let's say. And of course, you already know that we could put the sword up in it. Or, of course, we can put the sword in his hand. I want to point this piece of articulation out, though we'll revisit the articulation in just a little bit. But the wrist can go back so that you can actually get the sword, like, you know, kind of in the hand looks weird, but you can get the sword in a position that's more natural for a sword to be thrusting, which I think is really cool. I really, really like that. So I'm going to take that out, and we'll put the sword up in the scabbard, because why not? By the way, the sword going into the scabbard, you can leave it up there for wolf mode as well, if you're so inclined. I'm going to have to take that off and get that in. It's tight. I just wanted to take a moment and show the armor up close. If you can pick out the detail, it looks like his armor, which makes perfect sense. And so here we have him back now with his scabbard in place, with the sword in the scabbard. You've seen it up close. We've got the armor put back. The head of the wolf, of course, can tab in right there and just stay there on his chest naturally. And the cape. Now, if you put the cape on, you're not going to be able, even if you press the button, you're not going to deploy the armor. The back will sort of pop open, but it'll be stopped by the cape. And on the shoulders, we have two little holes where we take the cape and we should be able to do that and bring that down and bring that down, and now he has his cape on. Stylistically, this looks like the model from the cartoon. Color-wise, it seems to be off. We have some gray, or we have green here where we should have gray, for example. His cape, I think, is supposed to be more of a gray color than this red color. So the colors aren't quite right, but the body molding and the look and everything is. So you know what? I'm going to say it's about a 7.5. You definitely know it's Thunderhowl if you know the character, but you might be left scratching your head wondering why they used odd colors. 7.5 might not be the strongest start, but you know what? He has a lot of other things going for him, not the least of which is size. In fact, he compares quite well to a couple of Earthrise lads, namely Hoist and Grapple. You can see that the Ultra Class kind of fits in there as either a really big Deluxe or a little bit of a small Voyager. So how about that articulation that I've been harping on and harping on? Here's the thing, remember, this is a Cyberverse Ultra Class offering, and some of those earlier ones have been veritable bricks. I'm looking at you, Alpha Trion. That wasn't great. But recent offerings have been much better. Clobber was pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Rack and Ruin, again, not perfect, but pretty good. This guy, I think, blows a lot of what we get today out of the water. Now, starting from the top and working our way down, unfortunately, no, the head doesn't move because the armor is the gimmick connected to it. I think if we didn't have the armor, I think the head would totally move. In the meantime, though, we have this head that can move up and down, so it can kind of get out of the way. We have the shoulders that can get out. Now they can go out further than this. They're hindered right now because I have the cape in there, but they can go out further. They can go all the way around. The armor up here can move. The bicep, the elbow goes to 90 degrees. We have a bicep rotation. The wrists can rotate and move back like this. So you can do so much with the arms. Is there a waist? I don't think there's a waist because of the gimmick. I'm not mistaken. No, I don't think there's a waist. The legs can go back if I had the cape out of the way. They can go well forward, and every bit that they can go forward, they can go back if you work it around the cape. Even with the cape there, especially with, maybe I should show it better with this leg. Even with the cape there, like, you can get back a little bit. It's just the cape holds it up. The hip can go, you know, all the way out to the side, which I think is great. We have a thigh swivel. We have a knee to 90 degrees. We have this. It's for transformation, but we have that. And the feet are both on ball joints, so you get wiggle waggle to the left and to the right, and you get forward and you get back. You get it all over the place, man. The only thing, I'm gonna take that off just to show that this can go all the way back. By the way, this flap here is where the tail goes in, so we'll show that as well. The only thing on my particular copy that's a little bit of a nuisance, and you can see the arm goes out a bit further there, is right here, there's a little round peg that's supposed to go locked into a slot here for the hips. The hip collapses up in the leg, and then you lock that in. But mine, like, you can tell it tabs in, but it doesn't stay tabbed in. I don't think that's an issue with the mold. I think that's merely my particular copy. Could be wrong about that. The transformation, I'm going to take that off. I'm going to do the transformation with those parts off, but it can be done with the cape left on if you wish. It's just, I want to be able to show you guys as much as possible here. I didn't show it earlier, but since we're about to head into the transformation, I figured I'd show it now. This is the instructions. They're actually pretty good. They're nice, they're bright, they're fairly clear for what they are. Okay, so here we are. We're going to begin and bring the, like, wolf head up over. Why not? Might as well. And we're going to bring those arms out, and we turn the claws forward, and we take the shoulder armor and we turn the shoulder armor forward. And in essence, that's the upper body done. I mean, we may have to, like, bend the elbows there a little bit, but basically that's about it. You just took the shoulder armor, you brought it to the front, you turned the hands around so the claws were out, and you brought the head up. Pretty simple so far, intuitive, but makes perfect sense. Then we come down to the bottom here and we bring out the hips. I talked about that earlier. Now, here's where things get a little bit interesting, I guess. There's a peg here and a peg here and a hole here and a hole here. You need to make sure that this is positioned such that that peg goes in that hole. It's easier to do if you take the leg armor and move it forward. When they're pegged in, they should look like this, basically. And hopefully by now you see why I wanted to take the cape off to show this, because a lot of this would be hidden by the cape, right? So next part, between these two little slots there, we take this and peg it in, and it's quite secure once it's in there. Once the scabbard is in there, getting it in there is a bit of a nuisance. Sometimes I do find I need to take the sword out while I'm trying to peg this in there. Yeesh, pardon the cough. Now, mine is extremely secure in there. It's very, very, very tight. I may end up sanding down the pegs ever so slightly just to make it easier to peg on and take off. I don't have any stress marks or anything, but I would be very aware of it, and when you're removing it or putting it in, you really want to hold on to this piece because it's connected to a hinge and you don't want to break the hinge, right? Besides that, you're basically going to bend them at the knee and bend them at the knee this way and bend that back and bend that back at that weird hinge on the main leg there, and you're going to, I guess, angle the feet a little bit, and boom, in the end, here you have Thunderhowl in his wolf mode. As I previously said, you can either leave the cape on through the entire transformation or put it on after, or if you prefer without it, you can just leave it off, man. There's kind of no need to actually have it there. So we said that his paint apps, or his styling, whatever you want to call it, was a 7.5. The articulation blew me away for an ultra class. Would I like to have a waist? Yes. Would I like to have a head? Yes. So those two joints are missing, and that's unfortunate, but he can still really pull off a ton of dynamic poses for the joints that he does have. I'm going to say it's a solid, 8, maybe even 8.5. I'm going to say it's a solid 8 though. So we had a 7.5, we had an 8. The transformation, honestly, like the upper body is simple. The lower body, the only real difficulty with the lower body is tabbing in that tail. And I think that's just a tolerance issue on my copy, to be honest with you. I'm going to say that that's a solid 9. He was overall getting about a 7.75. I think it's about an 8.5. I think this is a really good offering of a new character. Is it better than the deluxe? I don't know. Time will tell, but the deluxe really has some big shoes, or paws, if you will, to fill. And here we are once again, and here he is once again. And you know what? I'm so happy with this guy. The only thing that I can really criticize on him is the loose hips. I wish the hips here, I wish that they like locked in up there better. They're supposed to lock in going in here, and they don't particularly do it. They do, but they don't stay there, like it comes out easily. I don't think it's a mold problem. I think it's just the tolerances on my copy. I could be wrong about that. It's something to be aware of. That could happen, that your hips might be loose. But it's minor overall. He has a ton of articulation. No head, no waist, but there's a lot here, and he can score some excellent poses. Having wrists and ankles, along with knees and elbows, really helps the guy. Not to mention the bicep swivels and the thigh swivels and all of the armor able to move. There's a lot here to like. I would not immediately dismiss this guy because he happens to be in the Cyberverse line. Even the scabbard and his sword over here is well thought out. This is generally quite well designed and generally pretty well made. I like it. I like how it turned out. Let me know what you think about Thunderhoof. No, that's not right. Thunderhowl. Thunderhoof was a whole other show. You know, I appreciate you coming by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you if you're in a position to help the channel to grow. You can check us out on Patreon. You can hit the join button right here on YouTube. You can see what we offer to you through Teespring, or use the donate link. Hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us, baby. Don't forget, somehow, some way, each and every day, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.